Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all the ships at sea. Allow me the liberty to quote a famous speech. And together we will write an American story of hope, not fear, of unity, not division, of light, not darkness. A story of decency and dignity, love and healing, greatness and goodness. May this be the story that guides us, the story that inspires us, and the story that tells ages yet to come that we answered the call of history, we met the moment. Democracy and hope, truth and justice did not die on our watch but thrive. But whose words could those be? Abraham Lincoln? Theodore Roosevelt? John Kennedy, you ask? How about none of the above? No, my viewers, those words were spoken on January 6, 2021 by one of the most heinous criminals in the annals of American history, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., at what is normally a great and celebratory period in the United States of America, the inauguration ceremony for the U.S. President. An office he had not even legitimately won, but was rather stolen at the behest of the CIA and corrupt technology and media corporations backing him up. My question to each and every U.S. citizen is, did Joe deliver on his inauguration day words? Unity, hope, truth, justice, and thriving. We'll allow this puppet to further analyze. Do we not remember in March of 2020, Joe Biden toured a construction site in Michigan. One worker asked Biden about his stance on gun rights, and he was abruptly told, quote, "I don't work for you, man." Is that a voice of unity? We've also heard Biden to refer to American citizens as, quote, MAGA Republicans in demeaning tones, angry expressions on his face. How exactly does that approach uniting? Truth? Suffice to say that literally 90% of the words that come from criminal Biden's mouth are in fact blatant lies. Justice? How are the lawfare atrocities thrown at Donald Trump seen as justice, when it is obvious they are banana republic political strong-arm tactics from the playbooks of Fidel Castro or Manuel Noriega? How is it justice Felon Joe traveled to Ukraine at Barry's vice president and blackmailed the Ukrainian president into firing the prosecutor who was, at the time, investigating the payola going on with his son Hunter from Burisma? How is it justice when American citizens are suffering worse than in almost a century as prices continue to skyrocket, yet Joe and Kamala continue to hand out free money and apartments to illegal immigrants by the millions? Where is the justice when Merrick Garland and Chris Wray purposely look the other way to bribes taken by the felon-in-chief and his entire family? Which Americans, short of the oligarchs, are thriving in the Bidenomics economy? People, what we have at the moment are millions of homeless, starving American citizens living in cars, under bridges, or in overstuffed homeless shelters. Yet we also have Haitian immigrants taking over small-town Springfield, Ohio, living better than they ever have. That should make each of us see red. How can hope be found when a derailed freight train obliterated East Palestine, Ohio, due in large part to neglectful policies of the Biden-Harris terrorist regime? Then neither Joe nor Kamala showed their faces to the beleaguered citizens of this town. Oh yeah, Donald Trump showed up to console the hurting souls. Anyone remember the race riots in burning cities of the summer of 2020, fueled by Kamala Harris stating that any BLM members jailed would be bailed out by her backing? The list is long of crimes and treasonous events caused, created, and backed by the Biden-Harris cartel. Despite the video evidence showing that Felon Joe did in fact appoint Kamala Harris as his border and immigration, quote, czar early in his fraudulent and stolen presidency, it is also widely known that Kamala did not visit the southern American border until June of 2021, and then only for a photo op with some border agents. Now allow me to get down to some very damning numbers from the Joe-Kamala reign of terror. According to Daily Mail, homeless numbers spiked to an all-time high of 650,000 this year, the highest number in 17 years of the U.S. federal government keeping statistics on it, and that is if you believe the normal underreported numbers for this statistic. The true numbers are actually in the millions, as rentals in some areas are now $2,000 per month on the low end, and out of the stratosphere on the high end. With home prices having done nothing but increase over the past 3.5 years, mortgages on average are at an all-time high of $2,209 as of April 2024. As you can see, one slip or layoff in the Biden-Harris economy, and you can quickly reach a point in debt where you can never catch up. And so the homeless epidemic only worsens under Felon Joe and accomplice Kamala. What about another harbinger of overall U.S. consumer health? That would be grocery prices. Well, as we saw in the fraudulent ABC presidential debate earlier this week, the numbers are sorely underreported by Kamala and Joe. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, prices for food and beverages are 22.43% higher in 2024 versus 2020 before Biden and Harris stole office. But we all know that the U.S. Bureau of Statistics is a highly untrustworthy propaganda source based on their past record of underreporting basically every statistic imaginable. The real numbers I have personally witnessed in local grocery retailers are that of canned mushrooms, pieces and stems. 4-ounce can went from 65 cents a can in 2020 to $1.50 a can, and that is for the generic store brands in 2024. By my calculations, that equates to 130% inflation. Now, other food items might not have escalated at quite the same rate, but ground beef went from $3.43 per pound in 2020 to $4.79 per pound in 2024. That equates to 40% inflation. Next, we have what Joe and Kamala have done to the American global image. Suffice it to say that we respect for our nation and many foreign nations is at record lows, based on the corruption that people know when they see it. Would Vladimir Putin have sent military to invade neighboring Ukraine if criminals were not in charge of the United States? The answer to that is a resounding no. We all know that about the debacle that took place by Felon Joe and Kamala in 2021 with the complete withdrawal of U.S. troops from Afghanistan, all while mindlessly surrendering billions of dollars worth of the latest military technology and equipment to the Taliban. A complete and total embarrassment to the U.S. on the world stage, to say the least. Inept. We also have to discuss the tragic attempt to take Donald Trump's life on July 13, 2024, near Butler, Pennsylvania. What truly made this event even more tragic and a damning indictment on Felon Joe and Kamala were the massive failures of the United States Secret Service to do due diligence on the day in order to properly secure the surrounding area to the Trump rally, along with allowing the would-be assassin to freely climb onto an adjacent factory rooftop in order to take the fatal shots. Not fatal to Donald Trump, but unfortunately fatal to Corey Comparatore, who was shielding his family from the gunfire at the time of his death. God rest his soul. In times past, the U.S. Secret Service might have been given the benefit of the doubt regarding the shooting, and maybe even brushed off the oversight by various agents and/or Secret Service director herself. This, though, my friends, is a different age we are now living in, and everything we have seen purposely aimed at taking Trump down from the felonious Biden-Harris reign of terror squarely points at this actually being a carefully crafted plot by their cartel to get rid of Trump once and for all. Something else that was widely exposed during the attempt to murder President Trump. The adverse effects of the DEI hires of the Felon Joe, accomplice Kamala reign of terror. It is now evident that women simply are not cut out to be Secret Service agents tasked with protecting the life of the President of the United States or other important dignitaries. During the course of events from July 13th, it can be said that female agents completely failed in their duties, largely due to physical inadequacies for the job. In fact, it is looking like diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives set in place by Biden and Harris are going to get us all killed. Females in the military are not as physically capable on the battlefield in combat situations, no matter whose fantasy says they are. Finally, let us look at the decay and destruction of many major U.S. metropolitan areas under the current terror regime. Seattle, Minneapolis, Portland, San Francisco, New York, all are now largely tented encampments of destitute drug junkies who openly shoot heroin and other illegal substances into their veins in plain public view. Trash litters the streets like never before. All of this got exponentially worse under Kamala and Joe. In conclusion, dear viewers, this puppet openly states that Biden-Harris regime did not keep even one single inauguration day promise to the people of the United States. Their report card gets a big fat F- grade. In fact, 4 more years of this in the event that Kamala gets illegally installed by our CIA once again, and this once great nation will be kaput, finis, no more. Good night and sleep well.